America's subcultures are littered in tragic stories. So I guess that's a downer alert, because here's another one that I feel compelled to tell. Although this video holds a 2-pack, there's no pull instruction here. It's just a video that I want to make to give an ending to a story that for too long has gone untold. Play that whole thing for you from start to finish, uncut at the end of this video. But first, I have to tell you a little story. Cree and I met in the late 80s, and we were both working graveyard shift at a truck stop right outside of Knoxville on Watt Road. And I was a supervisor, and it didn't take long to find out that him and hard work just didn't get along too good. But there's something about him that I liked and I related to, and he kind of reminded me of a little bit younger version of myself, a little bit carefree and wild. I was also a pool player, so we had that in common. And he was a card player too, although I was never a big card player. I was all about pool. So yeah, we kind of buddied up, and we'd hang out at the pool halls after work. So the way the job was set up is you would work 4 days in a row on 10-hour shifts, and then you would get 3 days off. So, because we partnered up and I kind of tolerated his laziness, and despite that, we worked pretty good together. But then we'd have 3 days off, and every once in a while, we would just, almost without saying anything, we'd go home, he'd go home, get a shower, I'd go home, get a shower, and we'd meet up at the local pool room. And then we would just run throughout the pool halls and the bars and the poker rooms for 3 solid days straight, no sleep. Just running. And most times he would play both pool and poker. But sometimes he would just play poker the whole time while I was playing pool the whole time. Yeah, 3 days straight, no sleeping. And we could do this because Knoxville had a 24-hour pool room back then. And that didn't serve alcohol, and the cops didn't bother us, and it was off the grid. It's just what we love to do. And the thing about Cree is his laziness almost worked for him. He was convinced that you didn't have to be a slave to somebody else's business. You could still survive, but most of all, you could live your life doing whatever was, making you happy. And he believed in true freedom, and there was an innocence to that was really compelling. He didn't buy it. He insisted on taking what he had and doing what he does and living life his way, on his terms, in his rules. the story has to be told because he was misguided. He was. I don't think he ever set out to hurt anyone that didn't have it coming. He just had a dream. He believed that he could live his life his way on his terms, and that people didn't have to be miserable slaves to corporate America. He was gonna run through the underground American world in one way or another, and he was gonna do what made him happy. One way or another. He took life and he went all in. Yeah. Cree lasted probably about a year and a half at the truck stop. I had been there years prior to him arriving, and he quit and went off to pursue his dreams about big-time poker and being a professional poker player. And I understood it, and I wished him luck, and I didn't try to hold him back. And he went off. He went off on his own. I lasted about another year at the truck stop before starting my own business and eventually quitting there. And I found my dreams about being a mega multi-millionaire. But we'd see each other all the time. We hung out at the same places, and we had all mutual friends. So Cree's real name was Chris Blisle. He's from Lenore City in Loudoun County, Tennessee. But I was the only one who called him Chris, other than his family. Everybody called him and knew him as Cree. They didn't know him by any other name. Sometimes I would call him DC Cree because he was originally from District of Columbia. And sometimes I'd call him Gypsy Cree just because of his whole character. We'd still go out occasionally, a little bit less frequently, on those 72-hour pool and poker binges. And man, we really ran hard. I mean, it was from bar to bar to bar, pool room to pool room to poker room, to bar to the 24-hour place. Yeah, we ran so hard. Sometimes we didn't even say a whole sentence to each other. It was just, he did his thing, I did my thing. We watched each other's backs. And we just tried to take a couple $100 and turn it into thousands. And we didn't play tough action. We didn't play monster players. And in pool, he did. In poker, I did in pool. I was in it. $10 pool was like my limit, my high. It was usually $5, sometimes $2 or $3 pool. But it's what we were doing. It's what we did. And the longer I would play, the better I would play. That's the thing about my game. It takes me a while to get warmed up. And yeah, I would go from starting out as a total just banger to better and better and better. And after day 2, I was just running out and hitting balls really good. So it was what it was, And now, once I started my own business and could call my own shots, and he was, doing what he does, we could go further. And we never got past Atlanta, so Atlanta's a tough pool town, man, and especially back in those days. And we started learning to go around Atlanta because every time we went to Atlanta, we'd just go completely bust. We'd be rolling up quarters for gas money to get back to Knoxville. Every single time, and that must have happened 7 or 8 times before we finally said, you know what? let's stay away from Atlanta. We would go west to Birmingham. We'd go down to Chattanooga and play in Chattanooga, and then we'd go west to Birmingham, and then through Montgomery, Alabama, and then down to Mobile. And for some reason, we never went toward Texas or Louisiana. We always went the other way east through the Florida Panhandle, through Pensacola and Tallahassee, and then Jacksonville, with the plan of going down the east coast of Florida and back up the west coast of Florida. But, you know, plans don't always work out good. They were what they were, and I always had, you know, I couldn't stay gone too long. I had business back in Knoxville I had to go take care of. But it was what we did. It was what we did. From when you start betting big money playing pool, the monsters come out of nowhere and they find you, and it's pretty much, you know, if you want to bet big bucks, you're going to have to play big players. And I knew I wasn't at that level, so I started taking my businesses mobile, and this way I could travel around without worrying about going broke, and still play pool. So that's what I did, and I just kept going further and further and branching off on my own. Cree was doing his own thing, and I started just doing my own thing. And I took it on the road for a long time. And I made good money and spent a lot of money and did what I did. And it was getting old. By the turn of the century, it was getting old. Cree was still grinding away, but now he was running with a really, really bad crowd and getting into the hardcore drugs and stuff. He had always been a pothead, which, you know, so were most of the people I know. But now he was getting into the pills and stuff, and just kind of went our separate ways. And what happened was I was getting sick of the road, and I needed some more meaning in my life. And I wound up meeting a woman who I fell madly in love with, and made my wife after, you know, a year and a half of living together and dating and all that stuff. I finally popped the question, and she said yes, and we went off and got married. And I tried to be normal John for a while, you know, the hard-working businessman and supporting the wife, and, you know, paying the bills with the, you know, all the right insurance and the savings account and the investment in Microsoft and all that stupid shit. Yeah, I tried to be a normal dude, and if you know anything about me, you know I'm not a normal dude, but I tried to do whatever, you know, what people expected me to do. I tried to be semi-predictable in my existence. Cree kept running. He kept running. Once I got married, I stopped playing pool, which is boom. And the funny thing about that is she was a poker player. Cree would have loved to. Actually, Cree was at my wedding. It was one of the last times I ever saw him. He kept grinding. He kept doing his poker thing, and, you know, got in some legal trouble and got addicted to the dope, and eventually decided that life was too much of a pain in the ass to live, and checked himself out. Yeah. The marriage ultimately didn't work out, and I'm not going to get into any of that. But I didn't go right back into pool and my wild ways when the marriage ended, there's still something about me that was trying to be semi-normal. I felt like I can't go back to that. I already did that. It's over. I lived that, and that chapter of my life is over. It's time to move forward. It's time to go on to new things. And so that's what I was doing for a while. I went to work in the media. I started my own media company. I started my own publishing company. Still had my old businesses running. I didn't go straight back in the pool. It took me, I don't know, 4 years. I finally got a phone call from another old friend, a female friend, who wanted me to meet up with her and meet at a pool hall and play some pool. So I did. And that's when I got back in the pool. That was 2014. And since then I've been playing ever since. So we're going on 6 years of constant pool at the point of you guys seeing this video. Love it more than ever. Still running hard, as you'll see in this next clip. The other day I was sitting around thinking about all this, about the whole Cree story, and about, you know, I was reflecting for some reason on back on where I came from and what I've done and where I'm going next and all that stuff. And I started wondering if I could still do those 72-hour pool binges. And it's like, well, there's only one way to find out. And I'm old now, man. And all this was back when I was young. But I really wanted to test myself. And most of all, I wanted to see if, like the old days, I would get better the more I played. And if I would hit that dead stroke mode, you know, somewhere around day 2. And I did. I went out and I did it, and it was a whole lot harder than it used to be. So the video you're seeing in the pool room now was at the ass end. I was heading home. It was at the ass end of that 3-day pool binge. And as I was driving home and almost home, I was like, you know what? I should go to the pool room and make a video and show the people what happens when I play a whole lot. But then it also, as I was doing it, I was also thinking about Cree, and I was like, you know what? Somebody needs to tell this story, and who better than John to tell the story of Chris Blyle, DC Cree, or Cree, or Gypsy Cree, or whatever you want to call him. He had a good heart. It's a story that I feel needed to be told. It needed to have an ending to it. And so I went out and played that 72-hour pool binge, and I was totally exhausted when I made this. And after this video, I went home and slept for like 2 days. I was hurting, and every muscle in my body hurt, and I was exhausted. But this one's for Cree, man. This is all about Chris Blyle, or Cree, whatever you want to call him, in dedication. I got that news. It was really, really tragic because I might be one of the few people who actually really knew who he was, how he thought, and how he could, how he maintained that innocence. There's a real innocence to that, and that's the really sad part. Everything you wanted should be a reality. You should be able to live your life the way you want to live your life, as long as you're not hurting anyone. You should be able to do for a profession the things that make you happy. That's what I believe. His legacy came to an end, but the story, the whole story was never really told, and you just heard the best way I know of how to tell it.